Thank you so much, Dr. AJ. Thank you for being here. What an incredible share today. Thank you. I cannot wait, you guys, to introduce to you our next amazing, amazing speaker. I hope you guys can all see my screen. Let me go ahead. So a little bit about BerHenda Williams. BerHenda Williams is a bilingual. She has been for more than 10 years. She's a keynote speaker, and she is a feminine leadership life coach. She truly lives her life according to her name, Germanic Greek origin, I can't speak today, the bare-hearted protector of multiculturalism, art and womanhood. As a Wayne State University graduate, she holds a Bachelor of Arts degree in Spanish and a minor in international marketing. BerHenda was a featured presenter at the SXSW's Interactive Tracks in 2016. She served as a facilitator for numerous organizations and community groups such as Alternatives for Girls, Job Corps, Women Organize Michigan. I am so excited, you guys, to present to you BerHenda Williams. With that, let me turn it over to BerHenda and allow her to say a little bit more about herself. And then I am so excited to go through this interview with you.
So excited to be here. Thank you so much.
So tell us a little bit about you, BerHenda, and your passions.
Absolutely. So I'm so happy to see one of my girls here. Hi, Cassidy. It's great to see you. So one of the things that I'm really passionate about is leadership in young women. And so I facilitate workshops and trainings for young women in organizations such as Figure Skating in Detroit, which I really want to center the fact that having girls of color on the ice is something very extraordinary because figure skating is a very expensive sport. So the fact that we can have young women not only on the ice, but they're also in academics, they have STEAM, and they have leadership development, I think it's really huge. And so the fact that she is here, I just want to love on her for like being here because they're our next generation. So happy to see you here. And I think that that's super important that we get more young women to see us because it's like they're going to pass the baton. They're next. So we have to get them ready. And I think that having events like this helps to be a demonstration of what's possible for their lives.
Welcome
So I
in,
just
Cassidy. Oh, we are so excited you are here. You are the future. I couldn't agree more with that, BerHenda.
yeah. So I'm just super excited about that. So that's one part of my life. But as an empathic leader, as an empathic coach, my work in the world, I really believe is mission driven to really tap into our feminine, to really understand that the emotions that we feel, we have to bring humanity into every aspect of what we do, but especially in leadership and especially in business. And so I help women really lean into the feminine aspect of themselves to show up more fully. And statistically speaking, the countries that have had feminine leadership, their COVID cases have been significantly lower, if not have all disappeared. And that is a credit to what happens when we have women in leadership positions. So the work in the world is to help women to really tap into that feminine energy, to really lean into their intuitive, their precognitive insights and awarenesses in a way that serves humanity.
BerHenda, you are cutting in and out a little bit, so I'm not sure if you need to adjust your location.
Yeah, let me see about closing some things out, and that should probably help.
That sounds like me. That is so me.
When you have too many
I always
browsers.
have way too many things open. All right, my love, I would love to ask you a few questions. I want to get started with that. When you say you are a vision and empath coach, right? What is it exactly that you do, and how did you get started with it? What made you realize? One of the things that I'm really hoping that we can help women here understand today is, how do you start tapping into your purpose? How do you really start understanding what is your core calling What are you meant to do in the world?
So for me, it started when I stopped dismissing being sensitive. Been sensitive my whole life and thought that it was something to be ashamed of, something that I needed to hide. And when I stopped disowning myself and owning my full self, that's when everything shifted and was put into place.
I just want to pause a second, you guys. Please hear that. When I stopped disowning myself, how many of us take what is actually our superpower and make it something that we should be ashamed of, something that makes us hide, or something that we should hide? That right there is just incredible, and so much power in that. So you started going down this path and you said, look, you know what? This is who I am. I'm extremely sensitive. How do you then, as a sensitive person, I know that we have so many women in this room that can identify with being an empath and being somebody who's highly sensitive. How do you then, as a sensitive person, go put yourself out there and say, you know what, I'm super sensitive and I'm just going to show it to the world and put myself out there? And so this question is two parts. One, how do you do that? Two, how do you protect yourself? I think one of the most important things that as an empath, we need to make sure that we're doing is protecting and clearing our energy. So if you could
All
speak
the time.
about that a little.
So before I do any like major post that's gonna like kind of rock me, I get grounded. And so I imagine that they're literally like roots on my feet pulling me into the earth. And then I create a force field, like a bubble, like a white light bubble to protect myself. And I focus on the heart chakra. I ground into my heart and I ground into my root. And I frequently clear my energy. So I'll do some dry brushing like this just to kind of clear my energy. Right? Yep, just get it off, get it off. And white sage spray. So those are like my toolkits. And as you can see here, keep the stone, you keep your stones on you. And those really do help. But the other piece of this is too, who am I to withhold the person that God called me to be? Who are any of us to withhold? That does a disservice to the divine assignment that we have. So I take what I do as my mission. And so that helps to, it doesn't move the fear away, but it helps to move past the fear when you know that you're offering something much bigger than yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. I guys, I cannot, that point that you just made lately, the word that I have used over and over again is I'm doing it scared. I'm doing it terrified, but I'm doing it anyways, right? Because when you have that core calling, when you know that God is calling you forward to do something, the universe, whatever it is that you believe in, we
Mm-hmm.
all have, I believe that, within us, there is a very divine heart. And I believe that we all have this ability, this intuition, if we just tap into it, if we just pause long enough to understand our heart, to know what we're meant to do in life. And so many of us don't take that moment to pause and to say, you know what? I'm going to do it anyways. And for me, it was about not knowing what to do. So I didn't know how to get started. I knew I was meant to help women and I had no idea how to get started. But then I said, okay, am I willing to invest in this thing that I believe is my calling?
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's just such an incredible thing to just say, who am I not to follow what I'm being called forward to do?
Yeah.
That's so
It's a disservice to not do it.
it is. So let me ask you another question that I think a lot of women here might be thinking about, right? So when you start to step into that, right, and start to pursue this dream of becoming a visionary and an empath coach, and now you do this full time. A lot of women earlier today said, our focus right now is being able to grow our business, learning about business and how to start it. How do you get started? What are some actionable items, actionable advice that you have for women? And how do you start actually going after that purpose once you know what it is?
To go within. I think too many times we think that business website, business logo, business, all the other kind of like minutia. I need to become an Instagram influencer. I don't have a big enough following. We think that way. Think about your the pillars you want your business to stand on. Think about your core values. Think about your your soul expression. And what I mean by that, it's an exercise that I take my VIP clients through. And I have them to ask 5 people, what are the 5 words that you think about when you hear my name? And from those 5, you'll get 15 words. But look at what words begin to repeat themselves over and over again, or words that are similar. This is deeper than a brand. This is what your soul exudes. And from there, you can look at the words, because words also have color correlations. Look at the colors that are associated. And then from there, you can begin to cultivate a brand, because it's coming from the inside versus what maybe the world may be telling you to do or be. But I think in my experience with so many clients, you're struggling because you're comparing yourself to someone else. You're doing it like someone else, and you don't have your foundation set. Set your foundation.
And so one of the first things that you do as part of this steps of setting your foundation is start to understand your soul expression.
That's
Really,
right.
don't go do what someone else is doing, but rather really find out what is true to you, what's in your soul. And one exercise that you guys can try right away is 5 words that you think about when you hear my name. So go ask some of your closest friends, your closest family, what are 5 words you can think about? What else?
And they can only be positive words, and only ask people that you know love you. And this also may be able to be a good filter of who needs to exit your life. Because if you start to think about the people that you value and love the most, and maybe there's certain names that come up and there's a little bit of a hesitation, then that might be a good indicator that there's some purging to do.
So surround yourself with people that are also filling you with love, that are, I always believe that having some feedback that is constructive is important. However, it comes from a place of love. So I'm always very keen about, am I giving someone feedback from a place of love or not? Because if it's not from a place of love, then I am not going to be giving that feedback to them, right? I'd rather release them from my feedback completely and move on with my life. And you don't need to, not everything that you see, you need to give feedback on, especially if you don't have love for that person or you can't come at them from a place of love. So I just think that's so powerful. Guys, I will give you a chance as well to ask your questions. I'm going to go to some audience questions that have already been asked to me to ask some of these incredible women. So if you've already put your questions in the Facebook group, that's where I'm getting these from. If not, feel free to raise your hand or pop in here and ask BerHenda a question. One of the questions that I got that I thought would be great for you to answer for us is what you just started to touch on, which is what should you consider when you're creating your brand? So you talked about one element, which is the colors that really kind of resonate with the things that are your soul expression. What else would you consider when you're starting to create your brand?
So I believe that as women, particularly female identified business owners, we have a unique position that we are in right now to create social change.
Mm.
So think of what your business can do to make an impact. You want to be profitable. So of course you want to set your fees accordingly and know exactly what you want to offer. But I think it's also important to consider, what are some areas in the society that you see that, and I don't think we play enough in our anger. How do you handle your rage? What is it in the world that incenses you that you can be an answer to? Because when we are aware of our juicy anger, that anger creates separation. So when we're separated, we can have a place where we can think. So what's the response that you want to create? Because we know anger only begets more anger, fear begets more fear. So how can you use your business to be an answer, to maybe create maybe a scholarship fund for yourself, for the next generation. Maybe there was something in your life that you didn't have. So what are ways that maybe you can mother and address the mother wound? What are ways that you can sister to address the sister wound? Maybe you care about the environment, the planet. So what can you do to be an advocate in addition to being a business owner that's going to leave a legacy and inspiration? Because we don't buy things, we buy people. So what is
Buy
it
on
that
emotions, right? So I
that's
always
right.
say to people, what people are buying has very little to do with how great your product or your offer is and all the value. It has to do with the emotions that you can trigger in them. So we buy based on the emotions that you're expressing and putting forth and the emotions that we're feeling. And I think that's just so accurate for him.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's more than just a business. I mean, when we think about the brands per se that we really love and that inspire us, they're inspiring. I mean, we think about Oprah, you get a car, you get a car, you get a car, you get it, right? We love that about her because of that giving spirit. When we see Michelle Obama, right, we know that yes, she's this very regal personality, but we know that she's also a giver. It's the things that she stands for that really move us. Cher, that's one of my favorite people, right? I love Cher. Cher is perfect. She could do no wrong. But Cher also has that really compassionate heart. She did some really great work here in my state of Michigan for the water crisis. So not a lot of people will know that, but there's something in about how can you use your business, yes, to be profitable, but also impactful.
I love that. I love that. Sarah, you had a question. So, as a starting entrepreneur, this is my first task: advocacy, empathy, and a legacy,
Mm. Mm. Ooh.
right? Power.
Yeah.
You guys, it's why I'm so excited to have this community that we're building. It's why I didn't just want to run this summit as a summit, but I really wanted to turn it into a community of powerful women that come together. So if you're not in our Facebook group, if you're not in the community, I'm going to put the link here in the chat. Nicole, if you could drop that link in, I would appreciate it. Please join us, you guys. This is such an incredible community for all of you to be able to share and to have these real conversations about how you're creating that and who out there needs this from you, right? Needs your advocacy, needs your empathy, right? And I really believe that if there is one question that you can ask yourself to figure out what is my purpose in life, it's in 5 years, in 10 years, in 20 years, when I'm laying there on my deathbed.
Mm.
And the reason why I said in 5 years, in 10 years, in a year is because we don't know. We all take life so for granted and we think we're going to be here forever. But the reality is, no one knows when that day will come. And the question that I've asked myself over and over again is, what will I regret not doing? Right? Because what people regret most are the things they never did, are the risks they never took forward. So I just call you all forward to take risks, to step out, to really start. No, I'm going to say that differently. To really stop pretending that you do not know. I think so many of us pretend we do not know things that if we dig a little bit deeper, we really do. If we trust our intuition, we really do. So, okay, so much goodness in this. Let me ask you a question. How do you take a leap of faith? How do you know it's the correct one? Telling everybody take a leap of faith, go out there, trust your intuition, go for something that's in your heart. How do you do that? And how do you know it's the right one?
Okay, so a couple of things you can do. Um, because I love what you said that you know, but sometimes we act like we don't know. And I think the best thing to do as we're moving through taking the leap is divorcing yourself from the outcome. Because we will resist taking the leap because we'll do what if? What if, 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 right? Because your brain is hardwired for preservation. And you doing this new thing, your brain is perceiving that it's a danger, it's a threat. Don't do that. So this is why the adage, what is it? The better the devil you know. So like you can be in this routine and you hate it, but it's what you know. It's what, but when you get ready to jump off the cliff with no parachute, right? Your brain is going to come in like, oh no, don't do that. What if, what if, what if, what if, what if? So I invite you to actually respond back to yourself. I call my ego mommy dearest, and I tell mommy dearest, what if I sprout wings and fly? What if everything that I desire is on the other side of this cliff, this void? What if there was a person on their knees, destitute, crying for the thing that I have, and I don't show up? Like literally, they've been at the bus stop for 20 years waiting on me to get over me to get to them. So what if? So it's a shift to what if that way?
Wow, that is so powerful, right? It's really starting to shift from just being in our own way, you guys. It's exactly what Dr. AJ talked about earlier with the imposter syndrome. When we're stepping into the imposter syndrome, we're getting in our own way and we're making it about us. Anytime your ego is the one that's operating, your ego is all about itself. Your ego only cares about, oh my gosh, how am I going to look? What is the final outcome going to be? Are people going to think I'm stupid? I think being outwardly focused and really wanting to serve, when you're in that, you're not worried about all that anymore. You're just not. And I think that being an extremely sensitive person myself, BerHenda, that was hard for me. I think that it took a lot for me to really not go into comparison, not go into my ego, and to just be able to say, if I can completely, I call it stepping over a line. I'm part of this leadership program. If any of you are interested in it, let me know, right? So I will tell you guys that what made the change in my life is the combination of some of the theta healing that I did with Shireen, who was incredible, in this hardcore leadership program that I'm currently in with some of the amazing ladies in here. Stelita, thank you for joining us, baby girl. Rita, thank you guys. Some of the people that are here from that leadership program with me. Nicole, and part of that leadership program is really saying that people never change. That was hard for me to hear. People never change. Your ego will always be your ego, it will be there. The things that you struggle with, the imposter syndrome, that's never going to go away. So, what it is for me is about every single moment making a decision, making that shift that BerHenda just spoke about. Will I make the decision to step into it scared? Will I make the decision to get over myself so I can show up for that boy, that girl that might have been standing there at the bus stop waiting for me to show up, waiting for me to use my voice so it can change her life, so it can change his life? Oh my gosh, so much power in your words today, BerHenda. So much power. I would love for you guys, BerHenda, I'd love to share some information about your Instagram so you guys can go follow BerHenda at BerHenda. I've put it in the chat window. And then BerHenda, have you prepared anything where they can go in and a free offer where they can go in and get some information about you or from you? And yeah, tell us a little bit about your free giveaway.
Yeah. So beautiful. It's perfect. So you sent them to my Instagram. That is a great landing place for my content and the things that I put out. There's actually even a free gift there. If they go to link in bio, go straight to my bio and you can download. I won't spam you, but I have a free gift that will help you understand there's 17 types of empath. And with the 17 types of empath, you look at which ones resonate most with you, right? And then there's some journal prompts there to help you begin to really think about how you can use your empathic gifts. And then because we are sensory beings, we can sometimes get too much sensory overload. I have some sensory overload or over empathic overwhelm gifts to also help you as well to ground your energy, right? So that's free. You can go straight to my IG go to the link in the bio. I'll even put a link here to it. It's on my website, but everything is there. Instagram is like the catch-all. Go straight to the Instagram.
Especially with Clubhouse, you guys, with Clubhouse. If you don't have the Clubhouse app, make sure that you go to my Instagram, follow me there, and just shoot me a message and say, hey, can I have a Clubhouse invite? Honestly, I'll put my Instagram here as well. That's how I've met this amazing
Yes,
lady.
we do it every Sunday.
Yeah, guys, Clubhouse has been incredible. It is different than any other platform. I don't know, I'm advertising it, but it really is that good. It's a place where you can hear people's voices. So many of the women that I'm meeting here I've actually met through Clubhouse. So I just want you guys to consider getting into it and using your voice there. It's a place where you don't have to show up your face. So it's sort of a safe place to first show up with just your voice. But yeah, if you're interested, shoot me a message on my Instagram and I will make sure to send you an invite there. And I just want to make sure that we give BerHenda a ton of love for coming today, for sharing her incredible wisdom. And so much love, you guys. Let's go in here and just put in some of our key takeaways. Make sure you guys are getting all of these incredible Angelina, Sashi, everybody's like, I love these speakers and I love Clubhouse. Yes, awesome. Let's make sure that you guys are going in and putting in some of your key takeaways. Let me share my screen again. I would just love to hear from you guys. What are some of the key takeaways that you have today? And then I would love to invite you and ask you a question. Has this been valuable? Have you been getting value from speaking with these different women and hearing these different women speak today?
Absolutely, Summer. I really loving it. I'm really enjoying it. And even after we are in the leadership training together, and girls, what Summer was saying to you guys about leadership, anybody interested, please contact Summer. She is amazing. She's gonna help you out. And thank you very much for invite us here in the Zoom. I learned so much from everybody. So thank you again, Summer. I was mute my speaker and I mute my camera because I was doing an eat-in, but I'm listening. My all ears are there. Thank you again to all speakers as well. Thank you again.
Thank you to seriously, thank you, BerHenda. Thank you to all the incredible speakers that are here. And thank you guys all for joining. I would love to invite you to go invite someone. So if you know anyone that would benefit from this, if you know anyone that would enjoy the opportunity to join us here, I'd love to give you guys a brief break. So first, I'm sure all of you are getting a little tired and want to go grab some food, maybe go grab some water and join us back here. So I'm going to give you guys a quick about 25 minutes break. Let's all come back a little early so we can be ready for our next speaker. And invite someone while you do that. Invite someone to come in here, you guys. I'm going to put the link to invite them in the chat. Please invite your friends and family. We still have a whole bunch of incredible other women that are going to be joining us here today. Before we let you go, my love, BerHenda, is there anything else that you'd love to share with these ladies? Anything else that you think they should know?
Yes, I just want to leave with just deep gratitude. And if there's anything that I want to impart or leave with, understand that whatever you are looking for is looking for you. Whatever you are seeking is seeking you. And this is such an amazing time to be alive. And this is such an amazing time to be a woman because there is a calling. And Summer, I thank you for this. I've been on a few other summits, but there's something special that's happening with women right now in leadership. So please seize this opportunity and soak up everything that you're hearing today, not just from me, but just in totality, and just be so audacious about what is available for you. Just go delusional about happiness and joy and revolution and what you can do with this one wondrous life that you get, and what you can do with this life that is going to amplify and create a ripple of abundance and joy for those who are coming behind you. because that's what's going to keep you propelled as you move forward. So that's what I want to leave.
That is so powerful, you guys. I tapped into a crazy idea to start the summit. And my idea is that all women, every single one of us, we all don't have to live an average life. We don't have to live an okay life. We get to live our most remarkable life. Whatever dream that you have in your heart, you get to bring that forward and make it happen, right? So I'm going to give you guys a short break again. I'd love for you to go to Slido. Again, these takeaways will be shared with everybody here. So if you share some of your key takeaways, some of your notes, specifically your action items, because I think as we hear people, we all hear different things and we have different action items. Next, by the way, just as a reminder, who do we have coming up? Next, we have Lisa Hamilton Smith, who will be joining us at 1 p.m. So again, please take a brief break and return soon so we can be here and present for our next speaker. All right, guys, I will play a video while you guys take a break. I hope you guys enjoy this video. It is on something I call the drama triangle. So where are you in your life? Are you living from above the line or below the line? And are you living in the drama triangle, or are you living outside of that? So I'm sharing a quick video as we take a break. Thank you, BerHenda. Again, show BerHenda some love in the chat. So much love, my dear.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm looking forward to seeing you all on Clubhouse. Bye for now. Bye.
All right, guys. I want to just see some of the key takeaways before I play this video. Constantly remind yourself of your strength. Absolutely. Yes, yes, yes. When you guys come back from break, I'm hoping that I can create just a 10-minute exercise where I ask you all to write down some of your accomplishments. So be thinking about that. And then I'd love to just split us out into breakout rooms where we can share with each other. I think that's such a scary thing for us to do. Yeah, it's so incredibly important. So take a quick break while I play this video for you guys. You can just listen to it in the background as you move around, and I'll see you all soon.
Are you working from presence or the drama triangle? Brought to you by the Conscious Leadership Group. Find them on the web at www.conscious.is. Conscious leaders know the difference between working from presence and working from the drama triangle. Presence is above the line and drama is below the line. Most leaders and most organizations spend most of their time in the drama triangle. Drama is characterized by blame, wanting to be right, toxic fear, and adrenaline. Like good dramas at the movies, all drama has characters that play certain roles. The drama triangle has a hero, a villain, and a victim. The job of the hero is to seek temporary relief. The keyword is temporary. The hero is the one who gives a hungry person a fish sandwich rather than teaching them how to fish. The hero doesn't want others or themselves to feel bad, so they say and do things that make the immediate pain go away without facing and dealing with the core issue. When I'm exhausted from overworking, I hero myself by eating and drinking mindlessly, or surfing the web, or exercising. When another feels sad, I hero them by saying things like, "It'll be okay," or "I'll do it for you." The hero seeks value by being needed by others. The second role on the drama triangle is the villain. The villain's job is to blame. I can blame myself, others, or blame the group. When I blame myself, I say things like, "I shouldn't have eaten that donut," or "I should work harder," or "I messed up that presentation." When we blame others, we say, "It's your fault we didn't get that project done," or "You didn't give your best effort." When we blame a group, we say, "They messed it up for all of us," or "They just don't get it." The final role on the triangle is the role of victim. The victim is at the effect of. Life is happening to them. For the victim, a person, circumstance, or condition is doing something, or not doing something, that is causing the victim's life to be as it is. I can be at the effect of anything, including my boss, my kids, the weather, my job, the traffic, the economy, my body, and my mood. When I'm in victim, I'm feeling powerless. Every role in the drama triangle is a form of victim consciousness. And in the end, everyone is trying to prove that they are the biggest victim. When people and teams work in presence, the roles change. The victim moves from victim to being the creator. They take responsibility for their lives and stop complaining about what is happening to them. The villain becomes the challenger. Challengers bring healthy pressure to the creator to support them in facing and dealing with their lives in a way that creates a breakthrough. Unlike the villain, they don't blame or criticize. In presence, the hero becomes the coach. The coach doesn't try to fix anyone. They see everyone as fully empowered creators of their own lives and seek to support them in taking responsibility for creating the life they most want. Leaders and teams that learn to play in the creator, coach, or challenger roles of presence find they are more creative, engaged, aligned, and energized. They have more fun and get more things done. So, are you working from presence or the drama triangle?
Welcome, Ezra. Welcome, everybody. Welcome in, you guys. Instead of asking, what do I need to do? Ask yourselves, what do I need to become, and stay out of our own way. Great learnings. All right, with that, let me introduce our next speaker. And I'm so excited for all the additional learning that we'll have from this incredible lady, Lisa Hamilton Smith. Welcome in, Lisa. Say hello and introduce yourself and tell everyone a little about you.
Hello and good afternoon, good morning, good evening. I'm in the United Kingdom, so it's 7 p.m. at night, so we're just kind of getting cozy for the evening, and I know you guys are probably mid-afternoon, well, lunchtime actually. So, oh gosh, a little about me. The biggest problem with me is I am like a multi-passionate-preneur. So I have a finger in many pies, and I do lots of different things, all of which have to do with living your dreams. So whether I act as both a business coach and a mindset coach, and one day I realized, what excites me about working with people's minds and and getting them from A to B was actually getting them from A to B and living their dreams. So that is why I call myself now a dream coach, because I specialize whether it's in business or whether it's in your personal life. It could be relationships, it could be your fitness, your health. It's like, what is the dream that are you wanting to be a supermodel? Are you wanting to be a fitness buff and have rippling stomach muscles? Are you wanting to win the Olympic medal? Are you just wanting to have your own business, or are you just wanting to have a happy family? So I have spent all my life both professionally working with Tony Robbins, Dean Graziosi, Brendon Burchard, and Joseph McClendon. I'm trying to think who else are the biggest influences on me. I'm an NLP coach and practitioner. I've studied EFT, Emotional Freedom Technique, if you don't know what that is. So like I said, I've done lots of things, but actually the reason I'm a dream coach is because I'm me. And because I'm a weirdo. When I was really young, I thought I wanted to be, and please don't judge me for this, I want to be a white witch. I wanted to be the person that could go, abracadabra, your dreams are true. I suppose I probably want to be a fairy godmother, but it didn't occur to me, so I just thought I want to be a white, because I saw Bed Knobs and Broomsticks. Now, you're probably all too young to remember that movie, but she had a magical bed knob, and you put it on the bed, and then the bed would fly, and it would like time travel. And so that's when I thought, that is so cool. If you could just magically make your bed fly. And I'm trying to think, well, what does it take? What does it take? Now, you might laugh, but you see, actually, that was the beginning of a lifelong journey of like, what does it take to live your dreams? What does it take to have what you want? What does it take to make magic happen? What does it take to not do what most people do, which, you're sensible, get a job, get married, you have 2.5 kids, you wake up one day and you go, but I wanted to be a pilot. So how did I end up being an office admin? Or, I wanted to get a gold medal, but I ended up being a mother and all I do is look after the 6 kids. And not that you wouldn't love your kids, but you're like, but what happened to my dream? So I knew, even when I was really young, that is not who I wanted to be. And I told my primary school teacher, Miss James, that I wanted to get an Olympic medal. I'm an equestrian. So my passion, I don't know if you can see behind me, I've got the Ikigai chart behind me, which is where you coordinate your passion and your purpose and what you're good at. You bring all your things together, all the alignment of your soul, if you like. So I knew that I wanted to love and ride horses. And I was told by my primary school teacher, don't be silly. Your family don't have that sort of money. You're never going to go to the Olympics. And luckily, something in my spirit, presumably from past life stuff, who knows, kind of went, well, that's not right. We're not going to do that. And I have now judged. I haven't competed, sadly, but I have judged at 3 Olympics. And I have been at Sydney, at Athens and Atlanta and, of course, London Olympics. So when I was at the first Olympics, I was like, oh, my God, I'm here. But I did it again and I did it again. And people said, how did you get to do that? And do you know the truth is? I asked. So often in life, the answer is ask. The answers are not, the key to life is not the answers, it's the questions. It's the questions that you ask yourself about what you want, and it's the questions you ask of others, like, can I do that, please? And you'd be surprised how when you ask, you get what you want. So there you go. So that's what led me down the path of, you know, why do some people live their dreams? Why do some people have miserable lives? Or, I would say mediocre, not miserable. Most people have perfectly okay lives. But okay, so I went off. I have one more part of the story. Is I wanted to ride horses. I got qualified as a riding instructor and a trainer. And then my parents said, you must go to business school. You're never going to make enough money as a horse trainer. And I looked at them and I looked at my horse and I thought, you know, they're right. So I went off to London and I tried to become I did become an insurance broker. I wanted to be a stockbroker. I couldn't get a job as a stockbroker, so I became an insurance broker, which again was a dream. How I got that was I just knocked on about 15 doors. Physically, I walked into the HR departments and said, excuse me, here's my resume. Do you have any jobs right now? The 15th job, 15th application, I walked in. They went, you know what? We had somebody turn down a position this morning. Have you got your resume? I'm like, yeah, here it is. I was interviewed 3 hours later. I got the job the next day. Now, that's about manifesting what you want. It's like not being stopped. It's like there are no limits. I got the job in London. Yay! I should be really excited, right? I hated it. I absolutely hated it. Yes, I got it, but it just proved to me that that wasn't my dream. I didn't want to go and make lots of money and live in the city or commute in, even worse, an hour and a half every day and get home at 9 p.m. and think I'm too exhausted and then start again at 6 a.m. the next day. That wasn't a life. Now, lots of people do that and it works for them, but it didn't work for me. So I quit and I got on a plane and I flew to America because I had a secret desire to model. Now, I was kind of ashamed because, you know, that's like being big-headed, like, oh, I can be a model. But I moved to Laguna Beach in California and I managed to, I shared a flat with a few people, didn't cost me too much money. I got a job at a smoothie bar and I applied to model in an agent in Sunset Boulevard and I got a position. So I did some modeling and like tick that box. But then, guess what, guys? That wasn't it either. I realised that modelling is actually, I mean, probably if I'd made it to like Paris, it would have been okay, but I didn't get that far because I quit 4, so that wasn't good. But because they kind of inspect your cellulite. And I remember being at this, what they call like a look-see, where you go and they inspect your body and see what you look like if you're fit for the ad. And they had all of us in bathing suits bend over so they could check our butts. And I just thought, I was 23, and I went, yeah, I'm more than my butt, okay? I'm really more than my butt. This, you know, isn't what I'm going to do. So I thought, well, okay, I'm in America. The modelling thing isn't what I'm going to, so I'm just going to marry somebody. So I went off and I married somebody. And, you know, I was a pretty girl. I could do it. So I married somebody and I thought, I married a very wealthy man. I went, yay! Now I'm going to live this great life, living my dreams, riding my horses. No, that didn't work out either. Because when you marry money, they control you. He was like, I'm going to buy you a horse, $35,000. Oh, I'm taking the horse away now. And I went, no, that's not how this works. So I learned another lesson. And what I did learn from, I'm not going to go through the whole story. I've just written a chapter of a book, a collaborative book called Thriving in Crisis. And there's a whole story around that, but I'll save it for the book. But I learned from that marriage that what mattered to me was what my passion was. And I remember that younger girl that was like, I'm going to live my dreams. I'm going to live my dreams. I'm like, what am I doing? Yes, I've done this and the other, but now I'm married to this person. I'm really unhappy and I'm not living my dreams. And he took my horse away. And my horse was the one, it was my heart, my soul was my horse. And long story short, I left my marriage. I ended up coming home to England and riding and training horses for the rest of my life, up until very recently, where I've started speaking and doing other things and teaching people from my experiences. So, you have to live your dreams. I ended up coming back to the horses. By the time I'd fuffed around and everything, I was 32. And I was already getting back into horses, but I'd missed my slot to be an Olympic athlete. It wouldn't have been impossible, but it was going to be far more difficult. And I no longer put that on my goal list. I took it off, and I just wanted to teach and train and live with the horses and work with the horses. So I did that. And I remembered my grandmother saying to me when I was 11, your parents can't afford a horse, you'll never have a horse. Today I have 7. I have wrong number of fingers. 7. I have 7 horses and ponies I've taught and trained for the last 20-something years. And I've been riding and teaching and training since I was 3. So I believe...
Lisa.
Sorry, I'll let you get into it. I'll let you ask a question now. I'm sorry, I was just on the roll.
Well, I love it. That's incredible. I think it's just so incredible that you are one. I guess I'm very curious on how that little girl didn't let what that teacher said stop her. It become a limiting belief.
Yeah. I was very stubborn. I think it was my nature. Now, in the Dream Team Life podcast, and I think, I told Kinji, we were discussing what are my accomplishments. I run a podcast called the Dream Team Life podcast, which is where we interview people who are living their dreams. And we try to work out, so there's lots of podcasts about people being successful, okay? And that's usually about money and success, and they're very rich and that kind of thing. So we didn't want to duplicate that. We wanted to look at who was living their dreams. Like in my case, I lived my dreams and I didn't make a lot of money, but I was doing what I absolutely loved all day long. It's called a lifestyle choice. And I was very, very lucky that I managed to manifest a situation where I could do that. So, I just talked myself out of my point. Oh, you asked me about how it was different. In the interviews, we really try to assess and we go deep into the psychology of our interviewees. And we see that there's a nature. There is a little bit of a DNA thing going on. There's obviously nature and nurture, but there are some people who have an intensity and it's just their energy. It's just like, and those people tend to be less affected by their environments because they put a stronger stamp on themselves. I've just interviewed a 8 to 9 figure coach called Akbar Sheikh, and he is an incredible man. He's of a, I think he's obviously not, I don't know what kind of background, he's some sort of Arabic background, because the name would be a giveaway. Actually, because you're from that area, aren't you? So he was brought up with quite a wealthy family, but it all went really wrong. He went off the rails, and he ended up, it's all public knowledge, he ended up with a drug addiction and hanging out with really bad people. He lived in a cupboard. So this man who came from this extraordinary family, who were very philanthropic and ended up like really badly. And one day he decided that he was going to change it all. And he just literally, I said to him, what did you do? And he said, well, I decided I need to fear God, which was extraordinary. And he said, I don't know what I've been doing, but I've been dancing with the devil. And I suddenly got that I needed to fear God. God had given me this body, this life, this spirit, this mind. I was wasting it. And I needed to clean all the rubbish out. I need to get rid of all my bad friends and my bad connections. And he started selling beds in a car park, literally like a typical entrepreneur. So he was like, I'm a businessman in my head, so I'll go and... Anyway, within a year, he'd gone online, and now, like I said, he's the 8 to 9 figure coach, and he is committed. He has this phrase called "make more, give more," Okay, so and that's because unlike most coaches, he's not like, take the money, build a palace, have a jet. I don't think he has a jet. I mean, he could afford a jet, but doesn't have a jet. It's all about how many wells can he build back in countries where they're starving? How many orphanages can he fund? And my point being, though, when I kind of dug down deeper, I said, well, how are you different? Lots of people have this pivotal moment where things get too bad and they change. And I said, that's quite common. Well done. That was brilliant. But then I realised that he had this intense personality, and he had to be like big on everything. So when he was bad and he kind of went off the rails, he went really off the rails. And when he was good, he really came up. But when I asked about his family and I realised he had some philanthropic relatives, I went, he had this. He could see what it was like. He understood. What it's like to be in a position to have money and give. So he had a little bit of nurture, because it's about proximity, right? It's what we see. We learn from what we see. So although he went off the rails, he had seen this other way of living. And when he decided to clean his life and switch to God, and in the podcast, he talks about it. He said, I went, no, devil, thank you no much. I'm going with God now. He's very, very clear on it. It's an absolutely fantastic podcast. And it's coming out next week. And that is the key, it's defining. Now he's living his dreams because he got clear, because he got really clear of who he was. He found his nature and he remembered his nurture and he put it all together to create who he is today. And now he just helps so many other people. So
what an incredible story, Lisa. You're an amazing storyteller. Don't you guys agree that she's just incredible? I love that story. And yes, so many people I think here on this call, my friends, my family, are all from a very similar background to him, where we do really believe in the importance. And we're actually in the middle of the month of Ramadan. So if I haven't said it already, Ramadan Mubarak, everybody who's here who celebrates Ramadan and is fasting today. So we fast from sun up to sundown. And like you said, yes, we do. I believe in the power of God. And I believe that when you are in alignment with God, God will give you your purpose in life, and God will help you find your dream. But something that I want you guys to notice between sort of what Lisa's saying is that it didn't necessarily come easy, right? It wasn't just the first thing that she did. Whoa, now I know what my dream is. And she followed that. It took a little bit of sort of trial and error before she really got there. So I think that's just an incredible part of your story. I'm very curious on, now that you finally sort of started pursuing your dream, you decided to get out of the toxic relationship, you decided to kind of really say, hey, no, this is what it's going to be. What was the key? What was that, if you could give advice on what was the top 1 or 2 keys that helped you uncover what that purpose was for you in life?
It was actually doing things like this. I was one of the gifts of my my ex-husband was that he had been very heavily involved in personal development, and even though we had a strange relationship, I got to do a ridiculous amount of personal development in my early 20s. I was so lucky. I was so blessed. And one was called The Forum, where you look at the distinction of reality, like what is life. There's what you think life is, like the filters you see, and you think that that's blue and someone else might see it as green. That's a very simple example, but it's like, so what actually happens, or what's the story that you make up about what happens in life? And that, to have that in my knowledge, age 24, was fascinating. Now, it didn't necessarily cause me to then live this easy gilded life, not at all. But it was the beginning of a fascination with how people... It was an extension of a fascination, but it took me into a much deeper level, rather than this sort of childlike fascination. Now I had some neuroscience. Now I had some psychology behind it. And so when I found myself in very similar to Akbar, one day I was literally at the end of my wits in my relationship. It was extraordinarily bad, and I just sat there and I remembered everything I'd ever learned, and I assessed myself and went, who am I? Is this who I am? This person literally in a fetal position, lying on the floor, like couldn't get up, like petrified of this person I was living with. I mean, I was a bright, young. I was a model. I was also in a upper middle class sort of background. I wasn't in a situation where you'd expect to be beaten. And when eventually I ended up having to call the police and my partner got arrested. It was, I had shame. I was like, well, they must think this is so strange. This shouldn't be happening to me. And it was so bizarre. But what I realized, you would know who you are if you ask yourself. And when you're lying on the floor and you're looking at the carpet, literally looking at the carpet like this, you go, there has to be more. This isn't who I am. And it's like, finally, it got bad enough for me to ask myself the question. Remember I said at the beginning, life is about the questions you ask yourself. I asked myself, what am I doing here? Is this who I am? Is this all I'm worth? And the answer was no, no, no. And that was the beginning of my changing my life. But just like you said earlier, change doesn't happen overnight. It took me 2 years to actually leave that marriage. And 2 years to go back to my dreams. And the key, and I love this part of the story. The key was I loved horses, and I started, when I actually got a therapist, because we all need help, right? So personal development, therapist, coach. This is the story. We all need somebody. We all need support. And if in the olden days it was our family and our friends, and they're good, they can be great, but they have their own limiting beliefs, they have their own biases. Sometimes you need somebody outside of your circle who can see, somebody who already understands this sort of thing. So I went to a therapist. It took me 7 therapists to find one I liked, who said the right things. Because I didn't want to go back to a job. Remember, guys, I had escaped this job in London. And so that all these therapists are like, well, your problem is you need a job. And I'm like, no, my problem is I don't need a job, because that's why I'm here, because I didn't want a job. And so this 7th therapist said to me, okay, so what do you love? And I went, horses. And I said, I've got a few clients right now. She said, oh, great. Well, how many clients would it take for you to support yourself entirely? And I'm like, 20, She's like, hey, what's it going to take? She was like a business coach. She was amazing. And I'm kind of like, this is strange therapy. But you see, she was brilliant because she figured out where my excitement was, where the energy is. See, we can do anything if we're excited, which is why we should live our dreams, because we can do better if we're living our dream. We can do better if we combine our passion with our skill and our purpose and everything that makes sense for us. If we try to go against grain or just be what seemed like in front of us, it's often not the right thing. And then we get a little bit unmotivated, and then you just go blah, blah, blah through life. I remember meeting some people. Well, my uncle actually said to me, oh my God, my uncle said this to me when I was about 35. And he said, Lisa, you have such big dreams. I really worry about you. You're going to end up being disappointed. I mean, wow. God, you don't want to listen to that family member. It's about finding the passion that excites you. So you've got the energy, because it's never easy. So I left my marriage with a red Mercedes, which he had mistakenly given to me, therefore he couldn't take it away. No money, because my ex was basically broke. A chocolate Labrador called Mocha, who was my love, and the clothes. I had an obsession with clothes. So I had wardrobes, and I had no money for rent, and I was working a little bit because therapists had helped me build my business, but not to the point that I could rent anywhere. I just had some money to eat, right? And I was out on my own. But it all worked. If you're religious, you say God came up. And if you're not religious, say the universe helps. I basically believed I would be okay. And I was. I lived in a client's garage. I had a beautiful double garage all to myself with a big bed in the middle. And I had a walk-in closet, guys, because just so happened there was a cupboard in the corner of the garage, which acted like a walk-in closet. And then I didn't even have to get storage, right? Because my clothes, the ones that didn't fit in the cupboard, would go on the other side. It was great. I had storage for myself, the dog, everything, and it was free. And that gave me a safe space to build my business and start life all over. I had lived in this sort of 5,000 square foot mansion overlooking the bay with glass walls. I mean, I had the high life. I was like the lady who lunched. I did all the openings, and I went to a garage with a Labrador. I have never been happier than I was in that garage. Not just because I was free of my partner, but because I was living my dream, because I was now a horse trainer. I was surviving and making money, living my dream. Every day I got up and I'm like, what horse am I going to ride today? And that was the beginning of a huge journey in that.
That's just incredible, Lisa. Honestly, I think I think just for so many people that maybe associate happiness with money. And so they think, success equals money, or I'm going to be happy when I have XYZ amount of wealth. I think you get to a point in life where you might have more than you need and you realize that that's not happiness. Happiness is when you wake up every day and you just can't wait to get out of bed because you're so excited about the thing that you're going to do, that you feel called forward to do. So I just think that's so incredible. Let me ask you a question. Who do you believe you had to be to start living that dream life? So not what you had to do, because I think so many of us, especially women, our world has become so masculine that we spend so much time in our doing, that masculine energy, rather than in our being, in our feminine energy, right? So who is it that you had to be to start living this dream life?
I had to be somebody who honored my soul. I had to be somebody who loved myself. And that is the key. And again, that's the question. What does my soul want? What do I yearn for? Because what you yearn for is what your soul wants. And I have a friend who's a mind, body, spirit coach. So she says you have to balance all three parts. And we are, like you said, we get so masculine. We do all the masculine bits, and we do the work, and we make things happen. We run businesses, and that's the mind stuff. Like, oh, I'm really good at that. And we even maybe do the body. We go to the gym, we get really fit. We often forget the soul, the spirit, the heart. And I think that, because not that men don't have hearts, I'm sure they do. She says stuff. No, they really do. Of course they do. But it was that acknowledgement of who I was. That was the turning point when I got up on the floor, is who am I? I am somebody who wants to live a life I love. I am somebody who, deserves to be loved and held. I want to smile. I want to wake up and smile. Like, what am I doing today? So who I had to be was somebody who would appreciate myself, who would say, I am cool. And that's not easy. I didn't exercise when I was like in a course, when I was like 22. And it's going to sound bonkers, but we're all naked or semi-naked. And you had to go to a mirror and you had to say, what do you like about your body? Now, I was a model, so I was pretty cool, right? I could not look in that mirror and say what I liked. I actually was like, all I could see was imperfection. I mean, I can remember this to this day. I'm like, I go to like, oh, a little bit extra fat there, oh, and my knees knock, and oh, I've got bony elbows, and oh, and I look straight up and down, I don't have a waist. And I mean, I was modelling, and that's all I saw. And now, completely different. I look in the mirror, many years later, I look and, and I don't know, I'm far less shapely than I was. But I'm like, but there's a body that's lived. There's a body that's done things. There's a body that's strong. There's, I had to change how I appreciate. It's about gratitude and appreciation. So, I didn't have, when I lived in a garage, I didn't have anything fancy, but I had my freedom and I had safety, but not the kind of safety where you're in a safe job that you hate, but you keep doing it. That's the wrong kind of safety. But I had possibility. I was safe from sort of the abuse that I've been suffering, but I now had possibility. And that is the key, is to get yourself in some kind of possibility thinking. And then the answer is, who am I? What do I want? What do I yearn for? I love the word yearn. One of my friends is that's what he specializes in. He's a yearn coach. He's like, what do you need? What do you need? What does your body yearn for? What does your mind yearn for? What does your spirit yearn for? And you have to get to know yourself. Because you cannot lie to yourself. You can carry on doing something all your life, saying it's okay, that's what I'm doing. But you know what? If you are lying to yourself, and I think some of us are, it kind of bubbles up inside. It's going to get you one way or the other sooner or later. So the best thing you can do is be who you are. As I say, everyone else is taken. But you've got to ask yourself. You've got to have quiet time. You've got to meditate or just go for walks and talk to yourself. It's not the first line of madness. It's actually the first line of sanity. Know yourself. I think it's even in the Bible. Know thyself. And I asked Akbar about books in his podcast that he recommended for people. And he said, any of the holy works. He doesn't matter which one. The Quran, the whatever, the Bible, whatever. Any of them, he said. Because he said, they tell you, they say also the best business books in the world. He said, yeah, just study the Bible or study the Quran for business. Best thing.
Well, something that you said earlier that really resonates with me is that, you know, being giving, being generous when you get is definitely something that I have seen over and over in people's lives that I know. My sister, I think, joined us. Hi, Sally. And she is, you know, incredibly successful, but I would say equally generous. And that's something that I've seen in everyone, right? My own business coach is the same way. She's quite successful, yet quite generous. So I really just think there is so much wisdom that we can get from those books. And if you're someone who doesn't believe in God, doesn't like any of the holy books or anything like that, that's okay too. But I would say just read it from that perspective. Don't even read it as like a holy book. Just read it from the perspective of, I wonder what the messages were in that. So that's such a powerful message, Lisa. Guys, I would love to get Lisa to explain this diagram behind her. And if you guys have any questions for her, feel free. I can speak today. I'm fasting, you guys, so my mouth is getting dry, but feel free to drop in the chat any questions that you have. And Lisa, I'd love for you to explain the diagram behind you.
Yeah. So I'm if I move, I don't know whether. Yeah. Okay. I'm just going here for a second. So you need to see the diagram. So this is Ikigai, okay, and some of you may have heard of it, but you may not have been sure what it is. The Japanese are an extraordinary culture. They like to have meaning and order in all things. So they actually have Ikigai, as it says, a Japanese concept for a reason for being. So this ultimately is how we should live. And what we need to do, again, about questions, is you need to ask yourself, and I can pop this picture in the chat, or you can Google it anyway. It's you can find this anywhere. I've just nicked this from somebody because I don't want to do the artwork myself. What you need to do is ask yourselves these questions. What do you love? What does the world need? What you can be paid for? And what are you good at? Well, simply put, it's like, what are your passions? What moves you? And what solves the problem, and where do the two come together? And as you can see here, so you've got your passion, your mission, your vocation, and your profession. Now, your profession is something you can get certified for. I think that this is a more complex. This is the truthful model, but don't let it complicate things. At the end of the day, it's the blend of your passion, your purpose, and what you can do for the world, what the world needs. We're all about business, as you all know, and I think most people here are in business one way or another. It's all about what problem do you solve. I mean, it really is that simple. And I mean, I didn't used to understand that. I was thinking, business, marketing, innovation, I really something. But, you know, whether you're a chiropractor, like the lady I spoke to earlier, or whether you're a business consultant, like Samir, or you're a coach, or you are working for somebody, it's all about solving their problem. If you're an employee, you're solving their problem. You're helping them solve somebody else's problem, and you're solving their problem, and how to solve someone else's problem. Everything in life is about solving a problem. But you don't want to solve someone's problem at the expense of your soul, which is why you need to have the Ikigai diagram and do your homework. Sit down, take a pen and paper, and ask yourself, what do you love? What could you be paid for? And when you ask that question, it's like, what can you do? Dean Graziosi says it this way. He says, what can you do for like half an hour? If someone said to you, go talk for half an hour on a subject, what can you do without any notes, without any reference, and just do it? That's what you're really good at, and that's what people will pay you for. I like to tell stories, so anyone can ask me anything, and I'll be able to go on any stage and talk for half an hour. I mean, I couldn't do it for hours on end, but if somebody just like, come back today, I didn't really know what I was going to be doing today. So this, because it was like I stepped in.
We should tell them the story, Lisa. Yeah, so I actually, if you guys look at the picture of my speakers for today, Melanie was supposed to be here. So let's all send her so much love. Melanie got into a car accident, and so she wasn't able to attend today. And so after me and Lisa had talked, I think it was in the middle of the day yesterday sometime, and just said hello, and I was telling her about the summit. And I messaged her at, I think, 7 o'clock last night, my time, and said, hey, what are you doing tomorrow? Do you want to step in? And here she is. So thank you for that. And I think a part of being an entrepreneur, you guys, and starting anything or doing anything is just getting creative and not getting into overwhelm. So if I could just share one of the things that I'm learning about leadership is really the ability to understand that getting emotional gets in your way of being able to make decisions and move yourself forward. So once you've kind of gone through this diagram that Lisa has shared with us and understood what is the problem that you solve, how can you really step outside of getting emotional about things and getting overwhelmed and into kind of being a little bit more objective about it and just seeing everything that's happening around us in our world as more neutral, right? What's happening is neutral. What matters is how do I respond to it? I think that's quite powerful. And it was definitely a lesson for me yesterday. I'm not going to step into overwhelm. What's happening is happening. How do I just solve for it? So a question that I have for you, Lisa, is a little bit about that. What are some of the key leadership components that you're learning or you're seeing leading yourself and leading your team now that, and specifically that you give to some of these Olympic athletes that are such high performers as you're teaching them about coaching horses?
Nothing exists in a vacuum would be the first principle, okay? You cannot succeed in one area of your life where the rest of it's falling down. Not in the end. You might be able to do that briefly, you know, like anyone can run a business and then die later, you know, because they've killed themselves or lose their wife because they ignored their wife, or their children hate them because they never see them. So nothing, we cannot exist in a vacuum. So I have actually done that myself. One of my leadership lessons is that as I transitioned from horse training, and I want to move more to speaking and coaching, because I love my horse training, but I want to, it's a very niche market. And I have this dream to help people live their dreams. And I've been doing that in the horse world, but I want to do it on a bigger scale. I just wanted to go bigger. Like we always teach people to niche down. Well, I was so blooming niche down and it's wonderful. But I was like frustrated that I couldn't, like most people I meet, I can't help because I'm a horse trainer, right? Like I'm a horse stroke life coach. So by opening up myself to a wider audience, it's meant that I could affect more people and do what I'm doing today. Is talk to anyone. I have some value for anyone now. Not, you don't have to have a four-legged creature. So now what was the question again? Because I'm probably not sure if I answered that or not. I'm sorry.
I think that was helpful. So you're basically saying nothing exists in a vacuum, and make sure that a part of leadership is really sort of being a leader in all areas of your life and making sure that you're taking account of not just your business and sort of focusing there, but then letting the rest of your life fall apart. That was my question, which is, yes, what have you found to be the key element of leadership, either in leading yourself or tips that you're giving to those that are riding horses competitively as Olympians?
Balance. And I have suffered from lack of balance because I threw myself into this online world 2 years ago, and last year I had to sell a family home. I had a lot of other things going on, and I was still going, using a male term, balls to the wall to get everything done. I ran 3 summits, I created 4 groups, I did and in the end I found myself unwell. I've pushed myself to the point where my body is going, you know what? This is not how you live. I have not had a day off or holiday in a year. Now, I mean, I know we've all been locked down and it might seem like that's a holiday. And for some people who normally go out to work, it might be. But as I was working from home most of the time, it's like not been over there at all. And in fact, I've trebled my workload. And I did not take time for me. So you need to lead from the front, and especially any kind of coach or consultant. You know, you want to be a light in the darkness for people to live a life that they love, right? And that's what I want to do. And everyone, because you're all solving problems, and so you all wanted to do good in the world. You wanted to make something better. And you need to do that and take care of yourself, because you need to inspire other people to also take care of themselves. So that is the area where I dropped the ball. And, you know, and I'm now having to try and deal with things to make that better. So it is about balance. As a leader, you need to take care of your people. And you really need to care about them, because I think the more you care about your team, the more they care about you. Now, I have many, many entrepreneurial friends and all, you know, like they're coaches and consultants and speakers and goodness knows what online. And the ones are the most successful are the ones that love their teams, and I see that their teams love them back. It is that because in this online world, inauthenticity is obvious. If you're just in it for a buck, if you're in it to sort of make money and just use your people and just get there and, you know, close your 8-figure month or your 10-figure month, whatever, it does sort of show sooner or later. And the ones that I see who genuinely care, and the teams will go further out, that they'll like that. Like my tech guy last night was at midnight. This is a live example of this. My tech guy, I said, I need to get this email out for Samir. And he's like, it was midnight. I'm like, yeah, but I can't do the SendGrid thing. And we had like massive tech issue. It did eventually go out very, very late, but it did eventually go out. And, you know, and that's because he cared. And that's because, you know, we have a relationship, like we look after each other. We're a team. I want him to be successful. He wants me to be successful. So I think that's a massive, and very often overlooked part of leadership. It's not just leading, it's caring.
I love that. That is so powerful, right? Truly, truly caring, truly leading with love. I think that's so important. And, you know, something that Nicole pointed out that I think is so true is authenticity is so key, right? You can't hide from the real. What your intentions are will come out one way or another. So really sort of caring is such a critical part of that. One of your quotes that you gave me is live a life you love. It's the only life that you have. So what are some practical tips that everyone can try this week and something that they can do over the next week that will really help them sort of tap into what is the life that they love and will get them closer to that?
Okay, that is a massive question. I've got pages of notes, and I'm going to just try and pick a few things. Probably, I'm just looking at all my notes here. The most important thing is to ask yourself the question, what do you really want? And that has to be number one, because you can't live a dream or set a goal or have a plan if you don't have the picture in your mind. And that's more important for another reason, because those of you who maybe understand manifestation, and manifestation sounds like some woo-woo word, but it is just, those of you who are religious will understand that's like prayer. Prayer is like asking for what you want. Praying and asking, expect, and the magic of prayer is to expect your prayers to be answered. And so in the when you take it away from the religious, we have it as the universe. You ask the universe to support you, and the universe has our back at all times, and we should know what we want so that we can expect it. Amazing. When I was young, and I actually was better at it when I was young because I was purer, I had less noise in my head. I would just think, well, of course I'm going to get married to a very wealthy man, I'm going to live in this massive house, and by 24 I was there. It's insanity. I did a course once where you had a declaration where you had to say what you wanted to happen as a result of an action you took for good. That's actually, it's a way you can play with yourself. This is kind of a fun thing to do. So you could all go and try this. So you want to decide what you want in your life. And it could be a little thing, like you want a new car. It could be a big thing, like you want a new house, or you want a new relationship, or you want 3 kids. Whatever it is. Excuse me. Decide what it is. That's the most complicated bit, because it's got to be real. Because if you're thinking it because you're afraid, or you're thinking it because you think you should, it doesn't have the magic. If it's really from in here, and if it's something that excites you and you just think, oh my God, that would be so amazing. It could be that you want to make a difference for other people. It could be, there are many different things. People are moved in different ways. What moves you? Once you work that out, then you need to play a little game. You write it down. So it could be, let's just say I'm going to get a new car. And then you could say, so I am going to do, and you could think about your contribution to society, to the people around you, to your community. And you could say, I'm going to make 3 clients wealthier this week. I'm going to serve. I'm going to go and see my auntie and my grandmother because I've been meaning to do it for ages. And I'm going to be nice to my brother or something, right? And you can write this down and say, because I'm going to do these wonderful things for the good of all, because it's just like good stuff, because I'm going to work in the light, I'm going to work in the light, and because of that, I'm going to find my perfect car, my red, next Friday. And you write it down, and then you expect it to happen. Now you have to keep your part of the bargain. But if you keep your part of the bargain, you'd be massively surprised how often the other part turns up. May not turn up on the Friday, but it'll come later. Because it helps you to believe it's going to happen if you do it as a kind of deal. Now, manifestation experts might, but that's not how it's supposed to work. It doesn't matter how it's supposed to work. The point is, if you can believe it, you can achieve it. So we have to find a way to believe in our life. And one way is to chunk things down. So if you want to live big dreams, you think like, I want to, and I do want this, for example, I want to have a quantum healing center with horses for people to come all over the world to work with horses and have quantum healers and specialists and coaches and kind of all sort of energy workers. I don't even exactly know. I just have this idea. I have no idea how to do it, and it seems like, and I reckon it's a £2 to £3 million project minimum. And I'm like, oh, that's exhausting. So it's too big. So I have to chunk it down, and I have to just have the picture in my mind and just let it go and just know it's coming, even though I don't know how, I haven't got a clue. But my part of the bargain for using this declaration thing is, so I'm going to help everyone I meet, I'm going to help them live their dreams. I'm going to do that over and over. I'm going to be a walking dream person. And I'm going to inspire people to live their dreams, everyone I meet. And I'm going to do that. And I know that as a result of giving that out in the universe, I will get this quantum healing center, which isn't for me anyway. I don't need a quantum healing center. I just think the world needs a quantum healing center. So that's about making yourself believe, because you know you'll get, if I do X, I'll get Y. Then your brain goes yes. Because if you just go, I want a quantum healing center, I'm just going to sit here and just be wonderful, it's going to come, your brain goes, yeah, well, it's not going to happen. But if you make it into a bargain, it's a little bit easier to believe, because what you can see can arrive. But you've got to see it. Tony Robbins Tony Robbins is an amazing guy. I've done most of his stuff. And he had a client in one of his courses. He was talking about this, set yourself an intention and then believe, see yourself with the outcome. And, and you can do this in a day, you can do this in years. I mean, you can, however much you want to push yourself. And so this lady went and set an intention to win the lottery. And he went, and she said, I'm going to do this. And he went, well, that's not exactly what I meant, but yeah, sure, okay. She won the lottery. And she didn't just win the lottery once, she won the lottery twice. So, and he told that story many years ago from stage. And because she believed, okay, because belief is everything. And you've got to find a way to get yourself to believe, which is why you have to have integrity. And if you're working from your heart, if you're working with your own integrity, if you're following your dreams, if you're following your passion, if you're doing that which will be better for the world, if you're working in the light, just to use an easy word to sum it all up, it will work. But if you're like, oh, I kind of want to do, I want to do that for money, but then I want to just be a fraud and then do money laundering. I mean, people get away with that, but there's a price that they're going to pay later. But if you're doing it in the light, you know that it will come. So I was a bit of a clumsy explanation, but hopefully people understood what I was talking about.
Oh my gosh, I thought that was so beautiful. And let's all set an intention to go win the lottery. That. And one of the things that I've realized is that it's not just about what you consciously want, it's about what you subconsciously want as well. So I think a lot of us think, but I'm setting all these things and I'm saying I want all these things and I'm doing all of these things you people out there in this manifestation world are talking about, but nothing is coming. And what I've started to realize is that I'm saying certain words and I want certain things, but it's not truly my intention. It's not what's in my heart. And it's not what I believe I could have. So until you're able to align those two things, you don't really get there. So I just think that was so powerful, Lisa. Lisa, tell them a little bit about how they can find out more about you and how they can connect with you.
Okay, so I am the Dream Team Live podcast. You can look at that for iTunes, and it's at thedreamteampodcast.com. But you just Google the Dream Team Live podcast and you will find it. Hopefully, I'm just trying to think, how else can you find me? I'm on Facebook, Elisa Hamilton Smith. I'm on Instagram as the Dream Team Academy. I am on LinkedIn as Lisa Hamilton Smith. I'm everywhere. I mean, my socials like Lisa Hamilton Smith, and just look for this picture of me and the horse or me in the Dream Team Life. Those are the pictures I tend to use. So that you look for one of these, you find me, you know it's actually me. I have, if you're in horsey, definitely contact me, because the Equestrian Mastermind. So my passion is horses, right? So my Equestrian Mastermind is these elite riders. They come and talk to me about the training they've done in their lives, and they're often like in their 70s or 80s, and they've trained all their life, and it's just incredible. And that's like a passion project. It's not really for money, that one. It's just because this was my dream, to work with the best and the best of the world, and I'm doing it. So yeah, it's called the Equestrian Mastermind. That's my little passion project. That's what you can see. So you can look up Equestrian Mastermind on Facebook. You look up Global Mindset Summit, and just look up my name and you'll find me.
Thank you, Lisa. It was so incredible. And I just want to give you a special thank you for connecting with me and doing this so last minute. So much love, Lisa. It's been so incredible connecting with you, my love. And you guys, go log into slido.com. I want to find out a little bit about you. So go in, put your key takeaways. But more importantly, tell us a little bit about, based on what you just heard from, what describes what you're struggling with the most right now in being able to achieve this dream state, in being able to achieve your most remarkable life. So go ahead and log in, and you should see some questions there that I would absolutely love if you go ahead and take.